Everyone, welcome back to Tactical Magic. This is Molly Mandelberg, your host, and I'm really excited to have a dear friend of mine with me here today, Ash Sumida. I met Ash at a networking event. I sort of just felt compelled to walk over to her and her little group of friends at this networking event that I'd never been to before. I might never go to again. I don't know. But I know that I went to that event to meet this person. So I'm really excited to finally have her on the podcast today and share some of her magic. Gives me goosebumps just thinking about it. But we're going to pause for a second and then we'll be right back. It's not just about mastering technology. It's not just about brand or messaging. It's not just about making more money. It's about showing up in a big way so your people can find you. This is about bringing your most wild and authentic self into the hustle and grind. Welcome to Tactical Magic, a business strategies podcast for the warrior goddess entrepreneur. So Ash Sumida is a trained teacher on metaphysical healing arts, as well as the human optimization tools, gene keys, and human design. She has a passion for interweaving her teachings of spiritual self-discovery and integration into building conscious businesses and communities with a flourishing vision and team. Welcome, Ash. I'm so glad to have you here.
Thank you.
Hi. So tell us a little bit about how you got into the healing arts and how you found human design and gene keys and all of that.
Yeah. So I don't know. I almost feel like I don't know how far back I need to go. But, like 4 or 5 years ago, I experienced a really low. And I had to go to the hospital, get my stomach pumped. I had a drinking problem. I had a money and drug problem. And there was a point, when I was sitting in the hospital bed, just staring up at the ceiling, thinking, Ashley, what the fuck are you doing with your life? And from that moment on, I got rid of a lot of toxic friends, a lot of toxic relationships. I started to practice meditation. There was this Shambhala center that was 2 blocks away from my home, and I just would walk there and meditate almost every single day because I just really felt like I needed to find a different way to elevate my consciousness without the use of substance. And as I started to delve down just more of that path of self-discovery, I started to just become more interested in a lot of the things that I was actually curious about when I was younger, which was energy and quantum physics and also witchcraft, although I don't do any witchcraft, but just the energy and the power that witches and goddesses have these days. I just started to get really curious about it all. And I wanted to have just a deeper understanding of myself and what I'm here to do. And I stumbled upon gene keys. A girlfriend of mine was like, you have to check this out. You're going to absolutely love it. And a year later, I then discovered human design. But both of them were just super instrumental to not only the growth of my own self, but just a deeper connection and understanding to who I am and what I'm supposed to be doing here on the planet. So yeah, that was kind of a long roundabout answer. But.
Yeah, but it was, very similar to my own story of, it started with realizing what we're doing isn't working and then tapping back into a deeper curiosity and where our path actually wants to lead us, and then finding tools that really work to elevate our consciousness and transform our lives. What has been the biggest shift in your own awareness? What have you sort of learned from using human design and gene keys in your life?
Yeah, I have learned not only just how to be more at peace with myself, and also just I've earned so much more permission to just be who I am without any inhibition, and to own my genius and to own my talents and my superpowers, and also to have awareness around my weaknesses and my shadows, and accepting that is also part of my human side of myself. And also what it has helped me do is just to interact with people. Me knowing your human design allows me to just be more present with you, and I also know how to talk to you. I know how to ask you questions. I know how to be in your energy. And then, not just interacting with other people, but also how to make decisions for myself, knowing my type, and just also like my gene keys. Like I know when to say no and I know when to say yes. And I have the ability to like tune in because of those modalities. I've like learned how to like, tune into myself and like really ask myself, is this what I should be doing? So it helps me like navigate life so much more easier.
I love that. So for those of you who are podcast listeners of mine and who have been around for a while, we did an episode on the human design with Mariah way back, not too far back, but you can find that episode. We haven't actually talked about gene keys much. Could you just lay out what gene keys is and sort of how it functions?
Yeah, so Gene Keys is a text that was channeled and written by an author named Richard Rudd. So it's a really big book. I consider it like my Bible in some sense. But basically, it was based off of the I Ching and the Kabbalah, as well as tied into a little bit of astrology. So in the same way that you get your astrological profile by when you were born, what time you were born, where you were born, is the same way that you can get your profile with gene keys. Now, there are 64 keys that Richard Rudd talks about that we all have within our DNA. And then there are some that are more prominent than others, which is what you would find in downloading your hologenetic profile. But essentially what it is that each of these gene keys that is encoded into our human DNA holds 3 different frequencies, and it is the shadow frequency, the gift frequency, and the siddhi frequency. And the book talks about how important it is for us to learn how to embrace our shadow frequency so that we may release our gift frequency and so that we can continue to embody the siddhi frequency. And the siddhi frequency is like the complete opposite of the lowest vibration, which is the shadow frequency. So the siddhi frequency is like your highest essence that your soul is meant to be vibrating in. That is like, a reflection of light, pure light. And the gift is essentially what a lot of us in this human life are going to be tapping into as long as we continue to learn how to embrace our shadow. So it's really beautiful in terms of understanding how we can evolve our consciousness by becoming more aware every day of our shadow frequencies. And also what he talks about, which I always like, which I really appreciate, that he desires so much to like instill into every reader, is that every person is born a genius. There has just been, societal programming or, ancestral trauma or just like different, traumatic experiences that like cause us to not remember that we are a genius, but like every single person is a genius, and we have the capabilities of unlocking that genius with the right keys and the right codes, and that's what the 64 keys are about, is like having so much awareness for like what is inside of your DNA, and then knowing that you can use that to unlock like more and more of like your genius and your pure light. So
Totally. It is a big book. I almost want to grab it. It's like right there on my bookshelf. It's a huge book and it's a lot to dive into, but what is awesome is when you go to, I forget what the website is, but you can go and get your gene key profile. What is the website again?
genekeys.com/free profile.
Free profile. Okay. So you get your profile and you can sort of see what of those 64 keys, even though we all have all 64 of them, which of them are more relevant to you right now, or which of them pertain to one part of your life path. So that's sort of a place to start diving in. What I loved is after I very synchronistically threw myself into Ash's life by coming over to say hi, I found out that she was hosting these Gene Key evenings every Monday. So when I was in Austin last winter, which I'm rarely in a place for more than a few weeks, I happened to be in Austin last winter for 2 months, got to come over to Ash's house a few times and be a part of this study group where we would just nerd out on one gene key a week and really dig into it and unpack it and talk about it and understand it and have that awareness moving forward of another aspect of the shadow, which I feel like people talk about shadow work a lot. And this is such a like systemized, like scientific way to look at shadow work, because there's real places, there's like quantified, qualified places in our life where each shadow can appear and show up, and we can recognize that to move through it. And my scientific brain really loves that. So I'm just saying, for people who might want to go and geek out on this, it's something to just play with. It can also be like a magic 8 ball where you open the book and just learn about the shadow and the gift and the city that you come upon in the book. But it's something worth looking into, because it's potentially another avenue, another gateway to more consciousness flowing into your life, and more ease and joy and beauty and light and passion and genius, like you said.
Yeah.
And what's really freaking cool is that you've started to do this in relation to healing the body. Do you want to tell us about that journey and how that came about?
Yeah, definitely. So as you dive into unlocking all of the spheres, so like when you get your hologenetic profile, you're going to see a bunch of circles and you're going to see a bunch of lines, and it can be overwhelming at first, and that's okay. But in just relation to the program that my business partner and I have created, when you start to dive into the different spheres and you start to shed more and more awareness onto your shadow frequency, and you start to embody your gift, you actually have the capability to alter your physical chemistry, your body's chemistry. And I have just been I've been studying Gene Keys for the last 4 years, and I've been noticing the difference with people as they're studying it and as they're embodying their gift frequencies, how it's been changing their physical chemistry. And me personally, in the last, since January, I have lost 35 pounds. And I wouldn't say that that's just because of the Gene Keys. It's because of the other things that we have put inside of this 12-week program. So, when it comes to like unlocking your genetic code, there's going to be something that needs to release in order for you to make room to bring in more like light and more opportunity and love and relationships and all that stuff. So the things that like are getting released, we have created these superfood adaptogen blends that help cleanse it out of your physical body, out of your organs, because all cells have memory. And when we are growing up, we start to get imprinted with certain experiences that may or may not be less traumatic or more traumatic. And when we hold on to those within ourselves, it can be a little bit more difficult for us to shed them. But as we create the physical, the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual awareness onto what those things are. And then we take action by like cleansing and purifying and detoxing the body of the bacteria or the toxins that have built up over the organs over time. And then on top of that, taking action within the emotional, the mental, and energetic body, meaning, I guide all of my clients that are going through this 12-week program. I guide them through regressional therapy. So we access the parasympathetic, and we access any traumatic experiences that were imprinted so that you can process those emotions again. And we do some mental reframing. So reframing how you talk to yourself, reframing how that voice inside of your head, says things, and then also releasing through Reiki, through energy clearing, just all of that constriction that has caused your soul to like close up, to tighten. Because I know that that's like a really long, like roundabout kind of explanation, but what we've found, with the people that we've been working with is that it's all related. If there's a trauma that occurs in the physical body, it's going to affect the emotional, mental, and spiritual body. Or if there's a trauma that occurs in the energetic body that causes the soul to shrink, it's going to affect the emotional, mental, and physical body. So this 12-week program is really meant to purify and cleanse all of those bodies so that you can come into full integration with like who you really are supposed to be. And we use the Gene Keys in just you having, again, that awareness, that mental awareness of like, what are the shadow frequencies that we are releasing from your body physically, emotionally, and energetically too. So.
Super in-depth, super holistic, like the epitome of holistic when you're looking at all of these different realms at the same time. And I just want to go back for a second because I can hear the voice of a couple other coaches and friends in my head right now. The fact that you lost 35 pounds is not necessarily what we're glorifying here. It's that you got back to your body being in its optimal form through the use of all of these healing tools. And we're not saying that bigger bodies are not as worthy or good as smaller bodies, but each body wants to come into its homeostasis and its optimal form. Just wanted to
I
caveat
will.
that.
No, thank you so much for saying that. Because like, yeah, I appreciate you so much for saying that, because also like where I was 35 pounds ago, I just like I wasn't happy, and I was protecting myself in a lot of ways. Like I was not eating right, and I was eating a lot, and I was emotionally eating, and it was because I was protecting myself from any other trauma. Like subconsciously, I was utilizing like fat to be my armor, but also like utilizing food to like as a way to not express myself because I was fearful of being seen as well in my fullest form. So like and then the cleansing and the detoxing with the superfoods and the adaptogens wasn't all that either. I was almost every single day crying like my eyes out because I was doing energy work on myself, and I was also like allowing myself to feel in my physical areas of my body where perhaps like a certain memory or trauma was imprinted whenever I was a child, and allowing myself to like really go there, put myself in my little child's shoes and just feel and like allow myself to just purge like the emotion that like was imprinted. And it was a lot. It was intense, but it was like because I was like choosing to just be really conscious of like all of the weight that I desired to release on the physical, emotional, mental, spiritual level, like that it just came off.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, the beauty of that is you allowed yourself to go there. And what I'm hearing also is that you recognize you were using food as a way to both numb and to sort of encapsulate you from having to feel more, which is the same reason why and I'm assuming you too, used to use alcohol and substances and nicotine and all the different things that create a buffer zone around us, whether that's from numbing us from having to feel our actual emotions and what's going on in our lives, or numbing us from having to feel the past and what we weren't willing to feel before, or all the different reasons why we might try to keep ourselves safe from other people and reality. And that when you do that, when you allow yourself the space to feel and to heal some of those things, one of the side effects was your body no longer needed to carry that buffer zone around with it. And I actually have a similar and different experience of I grew half an inch in my 30s. And I was like, there is literally no rational reason for that, except that I got lighter from all the emotional healing that I've done, that there was less stuff weighing me down, and I was willing to stand taller than I had before. And I feel like that's exactly the same thing in a different way of our bodies are absolutely impacted by every other sphere of our reality, our emotional sphere, our mental, our spiritual, and that when we're willing to do the work on every level, of course our physical forms are going to change and adapt and reorganize themselves. And what beauty, what magic to watch the physical reality shift because we're doing the other work. It's totally awesome. So who is in a good I know these kinds of tools could help anyone, and I know there's a lot of people listening that are on many different like zones of this spectrum of far out woo and also practical, tangible. So who's in a good place to come and say, okay, I want to try this Gene Keys stuff? Or how do we know that it's time to start playing with these tools if they happen to synchronistically listen to this podcast episode and hear about it?
Yeah. Are you asking about Gene Keys, or are you asking about the 12-week like Gene Keys altogether?
Maybe both. Who do
Yeah.
you think should check out Gene Keys, and then how do people know if they're ready for that program you're talking about?
Yeah, I feel like actually the answer is probably applicable to both. Definitely, like if you are desiring to feel just more energy and vitality within your body and to create more of a symbiotic relationship with yourself, like with your body, I would highly suggest it. And also if you have been experiencing a lot of polarity, meaning a lot of indecisiveness, or you've been like seeing yourself in fight or flight, or you have been noticing just really heightened emotional reactions to things, like I would definitely like look into this as well, because these are different tools that allow you to, one, have more awareness on your being, and also to allow yourself to ground yourself in who you are. So those would be my suggestions.
Awesome. Totally. What I'm present to right now is I had an awareness recently where I love the work that I do. I help entrepreneurs, I help holistic practitioners and coaches and healers reach more people. And I feel like that gives me this giant ripple effect of positive impact in the world by doing what I do. But I also had this awareness recently related to my genius, and that it's completely possible I haven't yet even discovered the work I'm meant to be doing in this body on this earth at this time, that it hasn't even unraveled itself to me yet, revealed itself. And what I'm aware of is that you, by being curious and by following your guidance and by playing with the things that you were interested in, discovered this way of incorporating different tools together to sort of create something brand new, something that's life changing and something that hasn't really been seen by us, at least on this planet before. And how magical that is, that if we're willing to do this work, which is basically what you said already, play with the gene keys, move through, embrace the shadow, reveal the gift, move into the city, so that the metaphorical city, not the actual city, so that you can discover your genius and uncover your genius and allow something new to be born through you. And what would the world look like if we were more willing to go there and do that? Wouldn't that be awesome?
What would the world look like if we were all operating from that place?
Yeah.
You know, what would the world look like if Joe Biden and Trump were operating from that place? You know?
It's sad that
Sorry,
it's
I just to like
possible.
throw that in there.
But we both giggled about it, which is like, what if more of us were even willing to just ask that question? And how would that implant that in their realities a little bit more? I love
Yeah.
that. What else? Is there anything else you want to throw out into the audio, video ether through this platform?
Hmm. I will say this. If you are choosing to embark on the journey that is bettering yourself, or, you know, embarking on the journey of just like wanting to discover more about yourself, I honor you, and you are taking the courageous path. And just remember one thing: to be gentle with yourself. Because if you are choosing this for yourself, you're ahead of the majority of the world. And to be gentle with yourself, because it's very easy for us to get into our minds and allow that voice to like say that we are not good enough for this, or that we can't do this. And just know that as you continue to create more of that symbiotic relationship with yourself, that you are doing so much to raise the frequency and the vibration of the planet altogether. And love and nurture yourself along the way as well, always. So.
Yes, I love that. Thank you for that. I believe on Instagram, is it Creative Shamanista? What's the place to follow you?
No, not anymore. It's just my name now. So at Ash Sumida.
Ash Sumida. And then what's the best place for people to get a hold of you when it comes to learning more about this program, or maybe talking to you about your healing and guidance work?
Yeah, I would say just message me on Instagram, or you can check out my website, healingthroughjourney.com. But I also have a link tree up on my Instagram that has all of the other links to like the 12-week cleanse and healings and gene key sessions too, if anyone's interested in that. So
Awesome. Love it.
Yeah.
Well, make sure you guys go check out Ash Sumida on Instagram. And thank you, Ash, so much for being here. And more so, thank you for showing up in this life and doing the work to become your highest self and sharing that with other people. I'm grateful to have met you and really looking forward to getting to see you again in a month or two. Um,
No,
yeah,
right.
it'll be
Yeah.
fun. And for everyone listening, please don't forget to subscribe if you want to rate and review this show. That helps us out a lot. And check us out on YouTube or on Instagram, wild_one_rising. And whatever happens, keep asking big questions and taking bold action because you are here for a reason. Talk to you soon. Bye. Thanks for tuning into Tactical Magic. To find out more, please visit our website, wildheartsriseup.com.